So do you have a favorite childhood memory?
Um, Memories with quilts. When I was little, I grew up in South Mississippi in quite a bit of poverty, and so my parents said when they had me, they didn't have a whole lot, and a neighbor saw that they had brought home a new baby, and a week later, the way the story is told me, a week later, this little old lady knocked on the door, and she had created a quilt in a week. She was an avid quilter. Maybe she had some, backstock or something, but it was a grandmother's flower garden quilt, and it had blue, and it had, just all kinds of different random fabrics making up the little flowers. And I had that quilt uh, until I was a young adult, and it was a favorite because anytime there was a get together, that was the kids table. They'd throw that quilt down on the floor, and that's where all the kids would eat. We'd pull it out, and there was one little patch on it that had a ladybug on the print, and so it was our version of Where's Waldo, where's the ladybug, who could find her first. And just have a lot of really good memories with that quilt. And it was hand pieced, hand quilted, and it was very much loved. And
Sounds
so
like
when I started making quilts when I was pregnant with my son, that's really what motivated me to do that. I felt every child should have something handmade, and every baby should be wrapped in love, and quilts are love. And so that was my main motivator there. So,
it's so sweet. So
yeah.
who did introduce you to quilting?
Well, my mom always had a sewing machine growing up, and she was always had small projects. She'd make curtains out of bed sheets, and she'd do our Halloween costumes, and um, she would do small stuff, tablecloths and things around the house. And so I always had the idea that if I want it, I can make it. I can figure out how to make it. And my sister and I would, experiment with, let's see if we can figure out how to make this skirt or do headbands and things like that. And then, like I said, when I was pregnant with my son, that's when I really got serious about it. But I didn't have official quilter training, so I'm a scavenger. I'm at thrift stores, estate sales all the time. And so I started pulling men's dress shirts from the thrift store that I thought, these are cool fabrics. And I would deconstruct men's dress shirts and cut them up to make quilts. Well, the quilts I were making were like this big, like just big enough to fit on the car seat. I call them car seat quilts. And the first ones I made, it was Texas. I didn't think about batting. I didn't think about them needing to be warm. So I didn't use batting. It was just a quilt top and a backing, and then them sandwiched, stitched together. And so those were pretty cute, and they were a lot of fun to make. And I made them for my kids, and I made them for all the babies that we knew at church. And everybody loved them. And that was actually a really good size for a baby quilt, because it fits in the car seat, and then when they're toddlers, they can drag it around without actually dragging it on the ground. And it can be kind of a security blanket for them. And so that was a lot of fun. And after I'd made a bunch of those, I started moving from the men's shirt department. I was like, well, let me look in the bedding department, because those are bigger pieces of fabric. Maybe I don't have to cut them up so much and,
There you go.
lose all those buttons and everything. And so I progressed to bed sheets, and that's what you see behind me. This is I have this giant bookcase of bed sheets, and I've got several totes of different ones too. And so I love that fabric. Quilters are usually quilting cotton, 100 all the way 100% quilting cotton. The vintage bed sheets, they went by name brands like Percal and Wonder Cal and Ultra Cal, and they're actually a 50-50 blend, poly cotton blend. And that's how they were able to be wrinkle free, but still be soft. And that's how they were able to be soft and still really durable and last, decades later, they're still here.
Yeah.
So every once in a while I get lucky and find them still in the original packaging, but I love using that vintage sheet fabric to make stuff still.
I could see how that would be a really good quilt fabric.
Yeah.
Like it's light, it's soft, and it's, you can find all kinds of different colors, obviously, from the bookshelf
Yeah.
behind you.
Yes, and it's not for everyone. And admittedly, I'm a bit of a nerd, so one of the things I like to make the most with the vintage sheets, I like finding the ones that are that childhood nostalgic, with Star Trek and My Little Pony and the Cabbage Patch and Care Bears, and all the fun bed sheets that they made when we were growing up. They were for twin beds, and most adults aren't sleeping on those anymore. So when I make quilts and throw pillows out of those, people absolutely love them because they have that nostalgic factor. And I'm upcycling those sheets. Instead of being crammed in the back of somebody's closet, or, being, tossed after, a garage sale or something. They're being given a new purpose, a new life. They're functional again. So that's something I absolutely love. As quilters, we're making something new out of something else. And I love upcycling and repurposing fabrics because I feel like that really gives it a more functional purpose. So
For sure.
yeah.
Do you have a favorite fandom?
We marathon Star Wars over the Christmas break, and honestly, I got a tiny bit burned out after marathoning day after day after day of Star Wars. I do love it though. Honestly, though, Star Trek is my favorite. So I have to go with Star Trek. But one of my absolute favorite sheets that I have not cut into yet, that I've only ever seen one of, is a Lord of the Rings sheet from the 1970s. The illustrations on it are wild. I'm assuming it came out shortly after that. Well, not shortly after the books. It's from the 70s. I need to look at it again and see who made this bed sheet, but it's from the 70s and it's got different scenes from Lord of the Rings, not the movies that everybody knows, but like it looks almost like cartoon illustrations on it. And it's just wild to me that somebody made that, because at the time, I don't think Lord of the Rings was really targeted towards kids, but it looks like a kid's bed sheet. So that's an interesting one. Oh, and then the Gizmo bed sheets. Like, who thought that was a good idea for kids' bed sheets? But I've found them and used them to make things, and people, adults love them and go wild over it. But it just blows my mind that was a children's concept for room decor.
Is that from the Gremlins?
Yeah.
Toddler.
So it just seems that one seems kind of funny to me. So, as far as favorites though, favorite fandoms for the bed sheets, my absolute favorite, Richard Scarry, the children's book author, those illustrations, and then the Little Golden books. So I have a couple of bed sheets from both of those that have the original Little Golden book illustrations on them, and then the original Richard Scarry illustrations. He did the Rainy Day book and My Busy Little Book, and he had all the books where it's like every single thing had the word by it, so you were learning to read as you were looking at the pictures. And I think he's personally responsible for a lot of our literacy because those are books that almost all kids had, and that they're just a lot of fun to read. So